Hello and welcome back to Midnight Readers. Today we're jumping right back into Fated Fiancee. And we left off on chapter 4. This one's Liam's point of view. So a little recap of what's happened up to this point was there's the main character, Lexi. She met an elderly woman and assisted her when the elderly woman couldn't find any of her essentials that she needed and she was kind of stranded. Lexi gave her a ride home and it turns out this elderly woman is not only really wealthy but a shrewd businesswoman and helps her with her friend, her friend is really sick, just found out she lost her insurance and isn't able to pay for the surgery she needs. The elderly woman helps Lexi's friend pay for the surgery, and Aunt May then encounters with her own proposition, which is quite peculiar, as she propositions Lexi with marrying her nephew, a guy that Lexi's never met. But according to Aunt May, he's a good guy who has just been unlucky in love and has kind of sworn off girls. However, the relationship, or the fiancé, is needed in order to secure some business deals that they want, or that they've been seeking for quite some time. And the only way to do it is by proving that he's a family man. And so Aunt May has orchestrated all this. Lexi figures the guy's going to say no, so she agrees to it. He agrees to it for whatever reason, but is very cold towards Lexi. He treats her like he doesn't want her there whatsoever. He won't make eye contact with her. And he even makes her feel like he belittles her when Aunt May forces him to hug her goodnight. And he does, and he gives her this unusually long hug, and that made her feel things and wonder if she had misread the situation. But then he says to her, don't worry, you're going to be compensated for it. So in other words, he's going to pay her for the hug. Like she's some call girl. So that's where we are at now. So here we go with Chapter 4, Liam's point of view. Damn it, I should have never signed the contract, Liam thought to himself as he sat there with a cold drink in hand. Truth be told, he wasn't much of a drinker, but this whole situation had him feeling things he couldn't even begin to put into words. He originally wasn't going to sign it, but there's just something about the way Aunt May had described Lexi that he had been left feeling hopeful, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Although hit by an unexpected wave of nervousness upon their first meeting in Aunt May's office, his initial instincts seemed to be confirmed, as he undeniably felt an almost magnetic pull between them. Or, at least he thought he did. It wasn't until Lexi had left Aunt May's office that Liam's initial feelings had been replaced with those of hurt and disgust upon catching a glimpse of Lexi's contract sticking out from under his. His eyes immediately fixated on the line that read that Lexi would be compensated $1,500 monthly. She was being paid to be with him. She was nothing more than a gold digger like his ex, the ex-girlfriend that he had been with for 6 months before realizing she was cheating on him with one of his good friends, and was only with Liam for his money. It was upon seeing that he decided he wanted absolutely nothing to do with Lexi. But there was nothing he could do. He had already agreed and signed the contract. Then, there was that hug last week at dinner that really shook him to the core. He didn't want to hug her, let alone look at her. But when she was in his arms, he found it hard to let go. Her gaze, her touch, her smell, all caused feelings within him to stir, and that made him irate. She's nothing more than a gold digger, just like Jessica, he reminded himself. Today was the day she was moving in, and he had had it. He didn't know what to feel. All he knew was that he didn't want to feel anything at all. He hopped up as Kevin walked in with the first box. Seeing the drink in his hand, Kevin asked, "You good, man?" Liam nodded at the box labeled clothes in Kevin's arms. "Here, I'll take this one." Kevin handed it to him and went back out to grab another. Liam entered the walk-in closet that he had arranged earlier that morning to make a wall for Lexi's things. Without thinking, he let his curiosity get the better of him and opened the box. Part of him was intrigued and wanted to see what her style was like. But as he began hanging up Lexi's clothes, he let suspicion get the better of him, and he began checking for signs to further confirm that she was in fact a gold digger. He paused for a moment when he came to a small garment bag at the bottom of the box. He opened it to discover it was full of thongs. It was at that moment that he realized he should have left the box for Lexi to take care of at her own discretion. Too late now, he thought to himself as he placed the bag in one of the drawers. Kevin walked in with another box of coats, shoes, and purses. He raised an eyebrow at all Liam had done. "You want this one too?" he questioned. "Sure, might as well," Liam responded. He had found no evidence of her being a gold digger in the previous box. He thought perhaps there would be in this one. After organizing everything by color and style in the closet, he realized there was absolutely none of the evidence he had been looking for. I guess every gold digger has to start somewhere. He thought to himself as he walked out to the kitchen where Kevin was chugging a water. Hey, can you drop me off at the office before you go back to get her? You really have to work tonight? It's Friday. And her first night here. Kevin questioned in disbelief. There are just a few loose ends I want to tie up at the office. Liam responded. Kevin knew by the tone of Liam's voice that something was up. What's really going on? I think Lexi's awesome, but something tells me that you don't. Kevin questioned. She just reminds me of Jessica. Liam responded coldly. Jessica? The cold-hearted, gold-digging cheater? How in the hell does Lexi remind you of her? I don't know, she just does. Liam responded, reluctant to divulge any more information. Maybe you should just give her a chance before jumping to those kind of conclusions. I mean, we know how she and Aunt May met and how close they've become. That wouldn't have been the case if she was like Jessica, Kevin retorted. Unless she already knew Aunt May was loaded and found the perfect opportunity to weasel her way in. Wait, you think she's after your money? She didn't even know you existed when she first met Aunt May, so your theory isn't making much sense. Maybe Aunt May was her initial target, and finding out about me was just a happy accident. Liam scoffed. Bro, I know you've been screwed over, and I totally get being cautious, but I think you're way off base here. Well, that'd be nice, but I don't think that's the case. Let me go grab my phone and we can head out. As he waited for Liam to grab his phone from the bedroom, Kevin realized that Lexi had been right about the situation. He felt bad. He wished he could make his best friend realize how off base he was before he screwed this up beyond repair. He knew Lexi would be good for Liam. If only he would let her in. Hell, had Kevin met her outside of work, he may very well have pursued her for himself. However, given the situation, he would never allow himself to be more than just her friend. Liam returned, and Kevin dropped him off at the office before going to pick up Lexi. Chapter 5. Awkward Beginning. Kevin arrived back and helped me load the last few things in the car. I paused, taking everything in one last time. This, after all, was the place that I had called home for the last 5 years. I had moved in straight after graduating college. It felt like forever ago now. Ready? Kevin asked. As ready as I'm gonna be, I replied with a little sigh. As we entered Liam's house, I noticed my boxes had been emptied. Hey, where's all my stuff? I inquired, feeling a little confused. Oh, over here, he said excitedly, pulling me towards the walk-in closet in Liam's room. As he opened the closet doors, I was shocked to see my belongings displayed on an array of rods, shelves, and cubbies. Wow, that looks like it should be in a store display. Thank you, I told him as I stared in disbelief. All the clothes were hung according to color, and shoes displayed next to like styles. This wasn't my doing, he said with a little wink. You've got to be kidding. Where is he, by the way? With a strange look on his face, Kevin informed me that Liam had some things he had to take care of at work. The look on Kevin's face made it seem like he himself didn't even believe the words that were coming out of his mouth. It was late when Kevin left to pick Liam up. They returned just before midnight. I was sitting at the bar in the kitchen, tiredly awaiting their arrival when the door swung open. Hey, you're still awake? Kevin questioned as Liam strode past without so much as a hello. When Liam was out of hearing range, I replied, Yeah, I'm just a little bit unsure of what the sleeping arrangements are supposed to be. It's not super awkward or anything. I scoffed sarcastically. Kevin laughed. Totally understandable. Here, come on, he said as he guided me towards Liam's room. He gave a little knock on the door, and then went over to Liam and whispered something in his ear. Liam, who was now shirtless, cocked his head at me before going and grabbing one of the blankets off the shelf on the other side of the room. I couldn't help but stare. His body was close to perfect. Then it hit me. For a guy this handsome and well off to be screwed over so badly by his past girlfriends, there must be something wrong with him. I shuddered at the thought and wondered again what I had got myself into. I'm heading out. See you tomorrow, Kevin said as he disappeared from the doorway. Liam came close and handed me the blanket before going and turning down one side of the bed. Here, he said, motioning that was where I was to sleep. Without another word, he then headed towards the bathroom. Pausing in the doorway, he looked back over his shoulder and said, Oh, and there's no need for you to ever wait up for me. With that, he shut the bathroom door. I heard the shower turn on, and I took the opportunity to hurry and change. As I did, I couldn't help but feel the sting of his words. It was very clear that my being there was nothing more than a business arrangement in his eyes. I turned off the light on my side of the bed and climbed under the covers. Once he finally emerged from the bathroom, I could see in the dull light that he was only wearing a towel. I watched for a moment as he went and grabbed some clothes out of a drawer before forcing myself to look away. I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep, but it felt impossible, as thoughts kept plaguing my mind. I couldn't help but think about our first meeting in the elevator. He had seemed so different. It had almost felt as though there had been a spark between us. I clearly had misread this situation. The next morning, I awoke to find Liam was already up. I hurried and got ready for the day and went to join him in the kitchen. Hey, so I was thinking we could spend some time getting to know each other a little bit better today. I mean, we want to be able to have our stories straight for company events and whatnot, I said with a little smile. I have things to do today, he responded aloofly before walking away. There it was again, the sting of his words. His making it clear he didn't want anything to do with me. With that, I decided to go take a swim in the beautiful pool that I'd been eyeing in the backyard since I'd first seen it. The feeling of the warm sunshine dancing across my body was sure to make me feel better, at least a little bit better anyway. Both the water and the sunshine felt amazing. After I finished swimming, I laid out until I was dry before heading back inside. Upon entering, I was shocked to find Liam and Kevin playing video games. They both looked up at me as I walked in. Hey, you, Kevin said, flashing a big smile in my direction. Hi, I responded, thankful he was at least happy to see me. Liam looked away. Things you have to do today, huh? I said sarcastically before turning to walk away. I could hear Kevin questioning Liam about what I had meant as I left the room. I laughed to myself and secretly hoped Kevin would give him a hard time for being so cold towards me. After showering and changing, I pulled out my laptop. I had some paperwork that I needed to revise for one of my clients. By the time I had finished, it was already 3:30 in the afternoon. I decided to try my luck again with the guys. Upon entering, I noticed the mood was somber, much different from their usual banter. Everything okay? They both looked over, shocked as if they hadn't heard me come in. Yeah, everything's fine. What are you up to? Kevin questioned. Feeling as though I suddenly needed an excuse to be there, I responded, Oh, I just came to let you guys know that I'm heading to the store to grab some stuff to make smoothies. Is there anything in particular that you'd like me to grab? Here, I'll take you, Kevin said, hopping up. You don't have to do that. Sure I do. I'm not missing an opportunity to go smoothie shopping, he teased. I can't help but laugh. Okay then, who am I to tell you no? With that, he grabbed the keys and turned back to Liam. Want anything? Liam shook his head. I'm fine. At the store, Kevin grabbed a few things as he told me what Liam's favorite fruits were. It just so happened that they were the same as mine, which made smoothie shopping that much easier. Once back at the house, I made everyone smoothies. Kevin thanked me and raved about how good it was. He shoved one at Liam, who now, for some reason, looked even more unhappy than when we had left. Come on, try it. She's amazing. I mean, the smoothies are amazing, Kevin said, giving me a wink. Liam mumbled, thanks, as he took it from Kevin. Although he didn't say anything, I knew by the speed that he had finished it. Liam enjoyed the drink. He got up and put his cup in the sink. I'm going to go shower and head to the rink in a little bit, Liam said to Kevin as he began to walk away. Wait, tonight? Are you sure that's a good idea? Kevin questioned. I'll be ready to go in 30 minutes, Liam replied, making it clear that he wanted no further discussion. What's the rink? It's a gym, amongst other things, Kevin responded. Ah, so he'd rather go work out on a Saturday night than have to spend time around me. That's cool, I replied sarcastically. No, it's not that. This is just what he does when he's stressed. Not necessarily a good coping mechanism, but it is one nonetheless. Gotcha, I responded, knowing full well that I was a big part of why he didn't want to be here tonight. That only added to the mounting wave of emotion that had been building up within me. I hated that I had come into this with nothing but good intentions, only for my presence to now be seeming to do more harm than good. I couldn't explain it, but something inside of me was telling me to do something, not to let them leave as the guys grabbed their hoodies and headed towards the door. However, knowing full well it was not my place to say anything, I kept my mouth shut as I left. Chapter 6. Fight Club. They had been gone for hours when I heard a commotion at the door. I hopped up out of bed to go see what was going on. I was shocked to see Kevin helping Liam to sit at a bar stool in the kitchen. Liam was grabbing his side and looked to be in a lot of pain. Without thinking, I rushed over and put my hand on his shoulder. Are you okay? He didn't answer, but I could tell by his shallow breaths he wasn't. Here, put this on his ribs, Kevin said, tossing me a bag of frozen peas. He then continued to rummage around in the medicine cabinet. Let me see, I said as I gently lifted up Liam's shirt. It was already bruising badly. He winced as I held the bag on his ribs. What happened? I questioned. Fight Club, Kevin responded. I thought you guys were going to the gym. It is at the gym. One Saturday a month. You know, Liam has never lost a fight in the 10 years we've been going. So tonight was a first then? I questioned. Oh, even with broken ribs, he still won. But yes, tonight was a first. The first time anyone has gotten a move in that he didn't block. Just then, I was surprised when Liam chimed in. It was your fault, he said in a low voice. Exasperated, I rolled my eyes. Of course it was. No, what he means was that he could have sworn that he saw you in the crowd, which caused him to become momentarily distracted. That's when Winchester got the kick in. Oh, wait, why would it have mattered if I had been there? I asked, not understanding why his thinking he saw me would have been enough to distract him in the middle of a fight. Liam made a noise and shook his head. I pulled the bag of frozen peas off to closer examine the large bruise. Arnica will help if you know of anywhere open right now. Yeah, there are a couple places open, Kevin responded. Okay, try to get it in both an ingestible capsule as well as a topical cream. Also, is there Epsom salt here? If he soaks in a bath for a while, it should help to relax his muscles as well as open his pores, which will allow more of the cream to be absorbed when you get it. Yeah, there should be. Let me go check. With that, Kevin left the room. My attention was drawn back to Liam, whom I was still holding the frozen peas on, with one hand, while my other rested on his shoulders. Is it just your ribs that are hurt? I questioned, trying to determine if he needed to see a doctor. Yeah. Okay, I'll do my best to get you feeling better as quickly as possible, I said, rubbing his shoulder. Just then, Kevin returned. Don't hate me, but I put the Epsom salt in and got the hot tub going. I figured it'd be easier for you to get in and out of there instead of the bathtub. That's fine, Liam responded. Okay, do you think you got this so I can head to the store? Kevin questioned, looking at me. Yep, I replied nervously. Okay, ready to get in? I asked Liam. He nodded. It was clear he was in a lot of pain as he got up slowly and walked towards the bedroom. Once outside the bathroom door, he stopped and just looked at me. Oh, right. You're probably going to need some help getting your shirt off. I slid off the sleeves of his hoodie and then paused. Are you able to lift your arms to take off your shirt? Just cut it, he replied, nodding towards a pair of nearby scissors. As I cut his shirt to reveal his picture-perfect abs, I noticed him studying my face. He had a look similar to the one he had had the first time we had met. What? I questioned. Thanks for helping me. It's not in the contract that you have to help with stuff like this, you know, he said, with his look changing back to the cold one I'd been growing accustomed to. Not everything is about the contract. I wouldn't be helping right now if I didn't actually care, I replied, feeling a bit insulted. Why would you care about me? He questioned in a low, bitter tone. Caught off guard by his question, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. I don't know. Why is my favorite color turquoise? Why do I love swimming in the ocean? Why do I find the sound of the waves calming? I can't explain any of those things either, but I can't help feeling what I do. Feeling somewhat embarrassed that I had just blurted that out, and too nervous to look up to see the expression on his face, I put the focus back on him. Now, are you able to take your pants off, or do you need help with those too? I got it. As he moved to pull them down, he winced in pain once again. He clearly didn't have it. Here, let me do it, I said as I pulled his pants down to his ankles and over his feet. As he stood there, in just his boxer briefs, it took all I had not to stare. Are you going in like that? He questioned, nodding at my clothes. I hadn't planned on getting in with him right now, but figured he wanted me to join as he might need some assistance getting in and out. Oh, no, let me go change really quick, I said, hurrying to the bathroom to put on the bikini I'd worn while swimming earlier. Okay, ready? I asked, coming back out to him. He nodded. I helped him step into the hot tub and sit down. He grabbed his side. I knew he was in pain and wished there was something more I could do, as I stood helplessly in front of him. I was surprised when he pulled my hand, pulling me closer. Sit with me, he said, still holding my hand. Without question, I did. He gave a little smile before leaning back and closing his eyes. It was quiet for a few moments before I noticed a tear rolling down his cheek. You okay? I asked softly, giving his hand that was still holding mine a little squeeze. What do you want from me? What? I asked, not sure what to think of his question. He repeated it again. What do you want from me? Why are you really here? I agreed to come because it sounded like you could use a friend. Someone that would have your back no matter what. And honestly, I could too. Someone who would be supportive and non-judgmental, to throw ideas off of, confide in, and grow with. If nothing else, I was at least willing to give it a try. I was embarrassed to look at him after that. And for the money, right? His words, coupled with the tone of his voice, struck a nerve. What money? I questioned. I saw the contract. I know you're getting paid to be here, he said in such a way that I felt like a child being scolded. Well, either you're partially blind or suffer from selective reading, as I crossed that condition out, wrote void, and even initialed it. Aunt May even pretty much scolded me for doing that the night that we all had dinner together here. Ask Kevin if you don't believe me. He was there and heard the entire conversation, I said as I pulled my hand away and began to climb out. Just then he lunged towards me. His fingers had just reached mine before slipping away with a splash as he went under the water. I turned back to see him balled up, grabbing his side, not coming up. Oh shit, I thought to myself as I rushed to pull him up. As I sat him back down on the seat, he had his teeth clenched and his eyes squeezed shut. I knew he was in a lot of pain. Without thinking, I wrapped my arms around his neck and whispered, "I am so sorry." "Just leave me alone," he replied coldly. "No, I'm not doing that now, or any time in the near future." "You know how you asked what I want from you? Forget everything I said. The only thing I want from you is for you to stop acting like a jerk," I said as I started to slide my arms off from around his neck. I was surprised when he stopped me and then wrapped his arms around me, pulling me in so close that I could feel his breath on my neck. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Just then the door swung open. "Oh good, you're back. Do you want to help get him out?" I said teasingly. Kevin raised an eyebrow. No, looks like you have absolutely everything handled in here. I'll just be in the kitchen opening the pills and grabbing some water," he said playfully before turning and disappearing back out of the room. I turned my head back to Liam, who still had me firmly in his embrace. "At first you say you want me to leave you alone, and then you don't let me go. You know, your words and actions are saying two very different things, Mr. Callahan. Which do you want me to listen to?" I was shocked when he said nothing, but pulled me in tighter. "Of course. You would choose the harder of the two. Okay, well, I'll try my best," I said, running my fingers through the back of his hair. The way that he held me and looked into my eyes in that moment, I couldn't deny that I wanted him, and I couldn't help but wonder if he felt the same. Worried that my feelings were about to show, I pulled back slightly. "Come on. Kev has everything ready that will help you start to feel better," I said, gently giving his arm a tug to help him up. Once out, I grabbed the towels, wrapping one around myself and bringing the other to Liam. After seeing the look on his face, I quickly realized that he needed help drying off. As I dried his body and wrapped the towel around his waist, I dared not look at his face. I knew my feelings would most likely be apparent, and I didn't want him to have even an inkling that I was starting to have feelings for him, considering I had no idea where we currently stood. "Thanks, man," Liam said as he entered the kitchen. "Whoa, that's turning into a gnarly bruise," Kevin remarked, seeing it clearly for the first time. "Here, take 2 of these, and I'll let Lixie put the cream on you. Is there anything else you guys need, or is it cool if I head out for the night? I'm beat," Kevin continued. Glancing at the clock and realizing it was almost 2 a.m., Liam replied, "Yeah, get out of here, get some rest. See you tomorrow." With that, Kevin nodded and made his way over to me. He gave me a little side hug and then threw his hands up in the air, almost to say, "It was innocent," when he noticed Liam staring. Kevin laughed playfully before telling us goodnight and heading out. "Okay, let's get this cream on you," I said, grabbing it off the counter. Liam followed me back to the room. I stacked 2 pillows for him to prop himself on in the bed and waited for him to go change. It took so long that I was just about to go check on him when he emerged from the bathroom wearing only a pair of sweatpants. He lay down and nodded that he was ready. As I rubbed the cream gently on his darkening bruise, he stared at the ceiling. I knew it hurt, but he was trying not to show it. I went and washed my hands, changed, and came back out to turn the lights off. Startled, I awoke to something touching me in the middle of the night. It was Liam. He had managed to wedge himself next to me and was holding me from behind. I could tell from his lack of movement and slow, relaxed breathing that he wasn't awake. I wondered if we had ended up in this position by pure coincidence, or if it had been intentional. Either way, I didn't mind it. I felt comfortable in his arms. Chapter 7. Resisting Rich. The next day was day 1 of self-defense training with Kev. Although it only lasted a couple of hours, every muscle in my body was sore by the time we were done. He told me it was a good first day, but I had a feeling he was just trying to be nice. My hunch was confirmed when he followed it up by saying that he would feel better taking me to and from work for a while to try to help keep Rich, the guy that was constantly harassing me, away. On Monday, as I left my office, I could see Kev in the loading zone in front of the parking lot. Out of the corner of my eye, about a half a building away, I could see Rich heading towards me. I quickened my pace, with hopes of avoiding an embarrassing scene. Kev must have noticed as he began walking towards me. Just then, I felt a rough hand pull my arm back. Damn it, I thought to myself as Rich put his arm around me. As I attempted to slide out of his grip, he began getting loud. "Oh, you're gonna start this shit again? Thinking you're just too good for everyone, huh?" Kev's pace had quickened to a jog, and he reached us quickly. He approached with a look I had never seen on him before. "Is there a problem here?" Kev questioned. "Mind your business, man," Rich hissed. She is my business. And now I'm starting to not like you very much, Kev said, lifting Rich's arm off my shoulder and dropping it before pulling me into him. Rich's eyes bulged, and a little vein started to throb in the middle of his forehead. Who the hell do you think you are? He blurted out, looking almost as though he could explode. I'm someone that will do anything in my power to keep her safe and happy. And I mean anything, Kev retorted. Just then Rich lunged, taking a swing at Kev, but Kev had been ready. Not only did he slide me safely behind him, but he caught Rich's fist in his hand. He made it seem effortless. Rich grimaced in pain as Kev squeezed his hand. Consider this your only warning, Kev said before putting his arm around me and walking me to the car. Asshole! Rich yelled as we walked away. Once safely in the car, I thanked Kev. I was grateful he had insisted on picking me up from work. I could only hope that had been enough to finally get Rich off my case. When we arrived at the house, Kev looked at his watch, then at me. I have time to squeeze in a half hour of training before I go get Liam, if you want. My body was still sore from our previous session, but I agreed. After the incident with Rich, I recognized the importance of being able to at least somewhat defend myself. After training was done, Kev left to go pick up Liam, and I grabbed a change of clothes and hopped into the shower. Just as I was finishing up, I heard them arrive. Kev was telling Liam about the asshat of a guy he had rescued me from today. My heart sunk when I heard Liam's cold response. That's cool you did that for her, but you know she was probably just asking for it. What? Why would you even say that, man? Kevin questioned, sounding as though the insult that had been intended for me had hurt him too. I have to ask you something. Did you know Aunt May is paying for her to be here? Liam asked abruptly. Well, yeah, but I mean, I still have the charge card I was supposed to give her, and she hasn't even asked for it. I don't think she plans on using it, Kev was saying when Liam cut him off. See? Everyone keeps saying she's nothing like Jessica, but she's exactly like her. The money, the other guys. Anyway, enough about that. There's a company event she'll need to accompany me to on Friday evening, so I'll need you to pick up a ring. Choose whatever you want, but try to keep it under 25 grand. Are you serious right now? I love you, man, but you've got it all wrong. She is absolutely nothing like Jessica. Take the other night, for example. You've given her the cold shoulder since day one, and have been pretty rude at times, but the minute she saw you were hurt, she was right by your side, doing everything in her power to take care of you, and she actually cared. If it had been Jessica, I would have been the one having to take care of you. And since we're on this topic, that was the second time now that I've caught you with your arms around her for an exceedingly long period of time. Avoiding the subject at hand, Liam, very matter-of-factly, asked again, So, will you be able to pick up an engagement ring before Friday? Yeah, but don't you think you should be the one to do something like that? That should be personal. Why? It's all fake anyways. Hell, she had to be paid to be here, remember? Hearing those words, tears began swelling up in my eyes. Nothing that had transpired had meant anything to him. He truly didn't want me here. I bit my lip, attempting to maintain my composure. I absolutely could not walk out of the bathroom with a tear-streaked face. I don't think that you understand what's going on with the whole money situation, and you clearly don't want to hear it from me. So I'll get the ring, if you promise that you'll talk to Aunt May, Kev said, sounding defeated. Fine, Liam said as he went to his room and shut the door. I listened for a second longer to make sure the coast was clear before coming out of the guest bathroom. I had chosen to shower here so that I wouldn't be in Liam's way when he got home in case he needed to soak in the tub or anything. As I crept out, I was startled by Kevin's voice that came from across the room over by the bar. How much of that did you hear? I heard it all, I said, looking away, feeling both hurt and embarrassed. Kev came over and wrapped his arms around my shoulders. I'm sorry you had to hear all that, but as you know, he's been screwed over before, and I absolutely crushed him. He has his guard up, and it's going to take some work to get him to even start to let it down. One thing I know for sure is if anyone can do it, you can. I gave a little smile and hugged him back. I knew his words were meant to cheer me up, but they hadn't. They had only reminded me of how hard this was going to be, and how bleak the future looked. Alright guys, next time we'll be starting back up with Chapter 8, The Ring. Have a good night, Midnight Readers.